And how do we figure out how to give every one of our kids the education they need to succeed? And I am a candidate who has a deep, deep background in working in public education. And that puts me into a position where I can work with others to really do this very important work that has everything to do with being a successful city, including an economically successful city.
Jenny,
so I look forward to having more questions later, and thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here. Dean, thank you. I'm Leon Stavronakis, born and raised here in Charleston. My wife, Ann, also born and raised in Charleston. We live in West Ashley, and we're raising our 3 children over there, and they attend local public schools here in Charleston, like I did. You know, my life story is one of small business success, also serving the community as a local prosecutor for a number of years, served on Charleston County Council, and currently serve in the state legislature. Over the course of my lifetime, like probably everybody in here, Charleston has changed dramatically, and we have seen over the course of the last 40 years the difference, the amazing difference that tested, proven leadership makes for a community. And we've had an amazing leader in Mayor Joe Riley over those 40 years, and this city has blossomed and become an amazing, diverse economic powerhouse and the best place to live in America. And of course, we all love Charleston and want to keep it that way. I feel that way. That's why I'm running for mayor. As Mayor Riley leaves, we have to ask ourselves, what we need in our next mayor. And the answer is clear. We need another proven leader, another person who has answered the call and shown they can bring people together to solve the difficult problems and the challenges that our community faces. As a former chairman of county council, I'm the only person in the race that's actually been an elected leader that ran a government. And we had 2,600 employees and a $360 million budget, which is twice the size of the city of Charleston. So I've demonstrated that I can do this on the local level. More importantly, though, than that is the issues facing our community are issues where I have been working for years and have a proven record of answering the call for Charleston. Transportation infrastructure, I helped get the money for I-526. Over $500 million is sitting in an account right now dedicated to that project. The last piece of funding for the Arthur Ravenel Jr. Bridge, which is an amazing piece of infrastructure that none of us could imagine Charleston without now, and especially moving forward. The county helped provide the last piece of funding. I provided strong leadership and a very close divided vote on our council. I think a 2-vote margin on that. So our transit system was about to go bankrupt when I was on county council, and we pulled together, provided leadership, led the community, got the funds in place, and saved our transit system. Of course, we need to completely remake it to serve us for the future, but without that leadership from me and a number of other leaders, we wouldn't even have what we have now.
Leon, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Toby Smith. I'm from West Ashley, and at present I work at Midland Park Community Ministries in North Charleston. We have a food pantry and a clothes closet. We take care of people at their point of need. I got into this race because I was deeply concerned about Charleston and losing a little bit of our soul, what made us unique. Most of you know your history well. Charleston was built on the backs of Black people, and we are losing all vestiges of our past. Just yesterday, I was walking down King Street. Honest John's record shop is gone. You could buy anything there. Gospel music, robes, church events, activities. It was a hub for this community. That's gone. Across the street, Rubens and men's boys wear shop is gone. Mr. Reeder's been dead for a while, but he left his shop, and it was again a hub for the community. And just a few blocks down from that was Miss Alice's restaurant. It's all slipping away. And I didn't hear that voice in this race. And it's important, the legacy that I feel my ancestors left, I'm so proud of it. It has inspired and encouraged me throughout my life. I went to the old Middleton High School, which is now West Ashley High. I graduated from the University of South Carolina. I did 8 years in the CIA. I've worked for Charleston County Schools. I was the first Black Public Affairs Director of the Chamber. I love this place with all my heart, and I am proud of who Charleston has become. But if we don't decide that the culture is important, it will slip away, and then we'll all wonder, how did that happen? Well, we're watching it happen right now. And I wanted to be the voice to talk about that. So I'm glad to be in this race, and I'm looking forward to more good conversations, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maurice Washington, and thank you for hosting this Candidates Forum today. Very pleased to be here. I bring a very diverse background to this race. I've been a public servant for better than 20 years. I was born and raised right here in Charleston, educated in the public school system, the 9th of 10 kids, hardworking parents. My mom was a domestic worker who worked hard. My stepfather served this city as a sanitation worker. We grew up public housing, but we had the most wonderful life. I've served 8 years on Charleston City Council. I've chaired the Ways and Means Committee. I've chaired the Human Development Committee. I have served on the bank board of Bank of America, Charleston area, Spoleto, Urban League, Chamber. Education is very important to me, especially having flunked the 3rd grade. I served on ETV board, Cities and School board. I currently serve on a charter school board located in the heart of the project where I grew up, Charleston Development Academy. The background is diverse. I am a true public servant. Transportation matched up with land use is very important to me. A business-friendly environment, small business especially, is very important to me. I'm very, very proud of the fact that Charleston City is recognized as a top 10 city in America for tourists. I want to see Charleston become a top 10 city in America that's best for education. Imagine that. Imagine that. Economic development, poverty, neighborhood livability, all rests on the quality of our educational system and the young people that we educate today. So I want to invest in the citizens of Charleston. The citizens, education and workforce development. I appreciate having this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to responding to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Good afternoon. I'm Joseph Tecklenburg, John's son. He was running a little bit late, but he's here now. So I introduce my father, John Tecklenburg.
Thank you, Joseph. Oh, well, tell the joke. Tell the joke.
Okay, next time.
Maybe next time. Okay. Well, let me say, I heard this expression earlier this year that, and don't get me wrong, infrastructure is critical for the immediate future for our area. But the saying was, rather than focus so much on leaving a better world for our children, and I think about buildings and material things, you know, maybe we ought to focus a little more on leaving better children for our world. And I must say, if I do nothing else in my life, I'm so proud of Joseph. I feel like I've accomplished that. I leave you a better child for this world. My wife Sandy and I raised 5 children in Charleston. Joseph is number 4. So we have a pretty deep appreciation for quality of life issues and raising a family here. I've been a business guy all my life, other than the time that I worked for the city of Charleston. I founded a company here called Southern Oil Company back in the early 80s and was successful in selling the business in '95 and had the great opportunity to work for Mayor Riley. I was Director of Economic Development and really feel like I learned my way around the block and have some institutional knowledge about the workings of this city. In addition, in my life, I've done a lot of my way of giving back to community to date has been through nonprofits that I've helped start and lead and organize, including serving as president of the Homeless Shelter Crisis Ministries and the Charleston County Human Services Commission. I helped restart that in the 90s. Just a few years ago, my wife and I both have been active with a group called South Carolina Strong. We're in North Charleston. We help offenders when they come out of prison to start a new life and get a new start in our community. So I've had this business background. I've worked for the city of Charleston. I've been involved with our community, and I believe that this combined life experience, along with an incredible family example, I don't know if any of y'all knew my parents, they were a shining example of giving back to the community, and my faith in God. I believe in serving our brothers and sisters, and I believe at this point in my life, I hope to have the opportunity to serve this city going forward.
Mr.
I
Tecklenburg.
believe our number one, I've run out of time. Sorry
Well,
about that.
I don't, yes, the ground rules, yes. But there's good
More,
news.
more to come. Thank you
There's
very
good
much.
news. The floor will be yours again shortly. Good to have you here.
Hello.
So, John and the folks up front took a list of questions, and we've listed off 4 topics that were the most popular topics up there. So Toby Smith, Maurice Washington, and John Tecklenburg will be in the first group to answer this particular question. Toby, you will go first. So the topic is the issue of traffic, parking, flooding, and road infrastructure in and around the Charleston area. What would you do about that?
How long do I have?
Not as long as you probably need. 2 minutes, please.
2 minutes, thank you. In answering this question at every debate that we've gone to, my answers pretty much stay the same with respect that, in respect to the area. We've got plans to address some of these pieces already. Where I'm challenged is that we are a little bit behind in the implementation. So someone asked me just a few days ago, what would you do in your first 100 days? I would pull out the Century 5, the Peninsula Mobility Report, the Tourism Management Plan, and start checking off what's viable, what we can do, what's not possible, and cross it off the list. That's one aspect. The other thing is we've got to, and Representative Stavronakis said this so beautifully yesterday, plans are great, but if you don't have the money, they're futile. So we've got to figure out how we're going to get these things funded. That's the key piece, and that's going to require more than our budget. So those are going to be my areas to look at and focus on. While we're doing that, we're going to have to also figure out how much as a community we're willing to do to address some of our problems. For example, we could have more carpooling right now. When you're driving down Savannah Highway or any of these number of highways that we're stuck on, how many cars are there just one person in the car? That's an issue. Also, HOV lanes, high occupancy vehicles. We're going to need a multitude of things to tackle all of this. So more regional approach, funding, and let's work what we've got. And if that's not viable, then we cross it off the list.
Thank you. Mr. Washington.
Traffic, flooding, parking?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, it's a regional issue, which requires a regional approach. City government working across governmental sectors to get the job done and to come up with a comprehensive plan that's best for the region. And there are 2. There's the Century 5 plan. There is the My Region plan from COG to address the problems. But I would go back to the basics. You know, we can spend the local level millions of hard-earned taxpayers' dollars addressing drainage and flooding. But if we fail to take care of our wetlands, our marshes, which is the first line of defense against flooding, I think we're spending your hard-earned dollars unwisely. Secondly, we have to protect green space, natural green space, which allows the natural filtration of water, cleaner water going back into our rivers and lakes and marshes and things of that nature. Thirdly, we have to deal with overdevelopment and overgrowth. You know, we can spend, again, a lot of money extending roads, widening roads, building new roads, and we will have the same problems 5-10 years out if we don't manage growth and overdevelopment. The basic services, providing maintenance in our basin systems, cleaning them out so floodwaters can navigate through them, through these expensive pump stations that we're building with your hard-earned tax dollars. Basic services, core services. That would be my approach. So we have to get back to the basics. Protect our wetlands, manage growth and overdevelopment, work regionally across governmental sectors to address traffic, parking, and flooding that exists here in our region, more specifically the city of Charleston.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tecklenburg.
Thank you, Dean. By the way, I have a more comprehensive plan about many issues, including these, on my website, so please check that out, tecklenburgformayor.com. I'll start with flooding, if I may. You know, we need to finish the big projects that the city is engaged with, like the tunnel that goes underneath the Septima Clark Parkway, and the one that's coming from Market Street up to the pump station up here. So those are high dollar projects. We also need to do a better job of maintaining, you know, cleaning out drains and ditches and things like that. We really could do a better job. And using simple modern technology like Kurt Watari, I saw coming in here a few minutes ago. He helped me. I'm the only candidate with an app for your phone. Why don't we have an app for the city of Charleston where you can take a picture of a drain when it's clogged up and have it go to the right place and send the folks out to clean the drain? In addition, we have to think long-term about sea level rise and tidal inflow into our drain system. And we need what I would call, I'm a frustrated plumber, a backflow preventer, or a one-way valve that allows flow out to the harbor on our drain outlets, but not coming back in when we have tidal flow. So a lot of things work on drainage, but I can be very specific about that with those things. Traffic and parking, there's no silver bullet, there's no one thing. It is a regional approach that we need to take, as Maurice mentioned. The one best thing that we can do is finish the Mark Clark Expressway, in my opinion, even though you see this morning the budget has gone up. If it means just getting that first part of it done from Savannah Highway over to Johns Island, we need to get started on it. That's an important thing. But long-term, public transportation is the big thing. And we have to come together as a community and have a plan that we all agree on, and I believe we'll come to that soon, because the COG is working on a study of alternatives for I-26. Apply that to the whole region, get everybody on board, price it out. We don't even know how much it will cost for us to have an agreeable public transit system, but come up with a plan that's priced out so we can go to our dear Uncle Sam and let him know this is what our community has thought out and wants, this is how much it's going to cost, and apply for those federal funds that we're going to need to get to make that happen.
Thank you, sir.
Parking, we have to stop using parking as an incentive downtown. It should be a disincentive. Let parking rates go to market.
Thank you, sir. All right, so our next topic is going to be growth in West Ashley, and we will start with Leon on that topic. Specifically to redevelop parts of West Ashley. You live there?
Yeah, grown up there, lived there all my life, raising my family there. So I deal with the traffic in the morning when I'm going to work, when I'm taking my kids to school, when I'm coming back home in the evening. I'm living and have been for many years. That West Ashley has amazing neighborhoods, very vibrant, beautiful neighborhoods, great parks, the Greenway Trail. It's got so many wonderful assets. But there's no question that our transportation infrastructure, our traffic needs attention in West Ashley, and our public corridors need improving. There's zero question that West Ashley, if you talk to folks, they love all of Charleston. They are so proud to be a part of, you know, the city, and they love downtown and Daniel Island and every special part of Charleston. But they want West Ashley to look and feel as special as the rest of Charleston does. And we can improve those public corridors dramatically. And as a mayor, I'll be 100% committed to doing that. Our commercial centers need work, and the city is now investing time and work in that. I will take that and run with it, take it to another level. Again, as someone who's been there all my life, I understand West Ashley, residential life, business life, been a part of it really my entire life. So very in tune with West Ashley, its needs, and the traffic in West Ashley is really, really a problem. And we got to use technology to better sync up our traffic lights in West Ashley so that traffic free flows better. And make no mistake, 526 will not get finished unless you have a mayor committed 100% every day to that project. And I will tell you that of the folks sitting up here, I am the one who has been working on that project for a long, long, long time. I went as county council chair to get the funding that we have for that project from the state, and I have continued to work weekly. I asked for a DOT update 2 weeks ago, and they sent me one. And I know that there's an organized opposition whose goal is to delay and drive up the costs and ultimately kill the project, but we have got to provide leadership and work through that. It is very, very important to the future of our whole city, but especially West Ashley, to finish that project.
Thank you, sir. Jenny? Yes, ma'am.
I guess I am the only Ginny up here.
Yes, ma'am.
So West Ashley, I guess we've been out there now talking to voters across the city, but a lot of voters West Ashley, and you can't help but hear the red-headed stepchild over and over and over again about West Ashley and the investment that the city has made there or has not made there. West Ashley, to me, is at this really sweet spot where it is so ready for investment and people and new businesses and new infrastructure at a time when all this growth is coming our way, and we just need to be very smart to bring that growth in a smart and responsible way in West Ashley. In terms of transportation, because I think that's so essential to what we're talking about in terms of West Ashley, there are lots of plans as it relates to Sam Rittenberg and Citadel Mall. You've all seen them. They're fantastic plans. And Representative Savanakis has been working now for years on 526. That is certainly an important piece of it. Horrible that it takes so long, but we're going at it. We need to keep going at it. But to me, the piece that the city can do while we're working regionally, of course we have to work regionally, but the beautiful thing about the city is that we can begin to move forward and do some pilots. For example, public transportation in Charleston, right now, the only people who use it are the people who have no other options. The buses are often late. I was on it last week, 2 weeks ago. The express from Citadel Mall to MUSC, great idea, there are lots of people, but it was 35 minutes late, it was raining, and it was raining in the bus, into the boots of the driver. So here's what the city can do, and while we're working regionally, because I think we have to show people, we buy 4 or 5 electric buses, which we can do with philanthropy, and run them. Put sensors on them so when they go up to green lights, the lights stay green. Not as good as a dedicated lane, but it's pretty darn good. Show people what it looks like. Then, in my view, the regional efforts will get really a lot of energy because people will say, yes, let's do more of that. Look, it's working. Look at all those people who are not getting in their cars West Ashley. So it really relieves the traffic that is such a destroyer of life, West Ashley and other parts of our city, but particularly around all the great neighborhoods West Ashley. So lots of exciting work to do West Ashley. And as mayor, I will dig in and work every day to make sure that nobody over there is talking about the red-headed stepsister. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginny.
Growth in West Ashley. There are 6,000 housing units planned for West Ashley along the Glen McConnell Parkway, if you don't know about it. 6,000. We cannot deal with growth without dealing with planning and transportation in tandem. We've got to widen Glen McConnell. We have no choice. We're going to have to do it with the kind of development that's going on West Ashley. The city has already dedicated a specific staff person to come up with a redevelopment plan for Citadel Mall as well as West Ashley in total. We've had several town meetings to find out specifically what the people of West Ashley wants. And what we're doing is pulling all that together so that we can, in fact, implement. But we can talk about traffic, but we have to talk about planning, smart planning, sustainable growth. Because if we continue the development in West Ashley as we are doing, you have not seen a bottleneck with 6,000 additional housing units coming online in the next 10 to 15 years. So a Gregory administration will make sure that we have smart, sustainable growth. Because if we don't do that, we're going to continue to have the kind of choke points that we have on our highways. I'm already a part of the vision. I understand the development. I've been working with the mayor's office as well as our planning office and our transportation office to make sure that we have the kinds of plans to make things work. But even more importantly, we have to redevelop Citadel Mall. We have to build a town center so that people don't have to get in their cars to come downtown and go other places. West Ashley would be self-contained. So you will see under a Gregory administration, a person who will take planning in its totality, not a piecemeal approach, an approach that just continues to lead to failure.
Thank you, sir. All right, so the next topic will be on crime and safety, and this will go to Mr. Tecklenburg, Mr. Washington, and Ms. Smith. So we'll start with Mr. Tecklenburg. Crime, safety, downtown area. Would you feel safe walking down King Street at 3 in the morning on a Friday? Well, no, Friday it's for the college kids, so definitely not safe. How about a Tuesday at about 3 a.m., sir?
Well, I'm not out very often at 3 a.m. I must admit, those days are somewhat over.
But they were good days.
They were good days. You know, we talk about all these issues that we're confronted with in Charleston. They're all very important. But I must say, when you get down to the real nitty-gritty, that public safety has got to be the #1 job of city government and your mayor, is to ensure that you're safe. I mean, we're entitled by the Constitution to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if you're not safe, you know, if you're living in fear, you're not afforded those other liberties and opportunities. So public safety has to be #1. Luckily, we have an excellent police department. Chief Mullen is doing a terrific job. Our crime statistics are generally moving in the right direction. You know, assaults, all the major statistics are heading down for our city, which is a great thing. We We have a neighborhood policing concept, which I think is a good one. I think we could probably do even more of that and a little better job of our officers connecting directly with folks in the community. I do believe it's a good idea on an advisory basis that we have a citizens that's assembled from folks throughout our city to help give advice to the chief and to our police department and the way it's run. Not to be in charge, but to just advise. So I believe if we increase our neighborhood concept of policing, include advisory, add accountability, I think the body cameras are a good idea. We had already in Charleston gotten a grant to have, I think, 100 and some odd cameras before the incident happened up in North Charleston, and now we've applied so that we'll be able to outfit the rest of the entire department. So accountability is good, civic involvement is good, we're heading in the right direction. Public safety needs to be a #1 job of city government. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Washington.
I think the city of Charleston is relatively safe, a very safe place. Our police department, they do good work. Our various teams, they do good work. Can we do better? Absolutely. We can always do better. Coming up with strategic community policing ideas, which our current chief of police, along with Mayor Riley, have partnered with neighborhood associations throughout the city of Charleston to accomplish exactly that. I think investing in education and workforce development, crime usually is driven by poverty and lack of education, really. And you know, we have 217 high schools in the state of South Carolina. The worst 6, the bottom 6 in the state are all here in Charleston County. St. John's, Baptist Hill, Burke High, North Charleston High, Lincoln, Garrett. We can do better. We can do better. That's why I am a huge fan of investing in workforce development and the education of our children. When I was a council member, I pushed for computer labs at Burke High School, Frazier Elementary School, James Simmons, Jerusalem Baptist Church, because they had a wonderful after-school program. Didn't stop there, went into community neighborhoods like Rosemount, computer lab there, Gadsden Green or Kiowa Public Housing Community Center, state-of-the-art computer lab there. I was told as a freshman council member that education isn't the business of city government. Well, I grew up believing that education is everybody's business. So if you want to lower crime rate, make our streets and neighborhoods safer, more livable, invest in education, invest in citizens and workforce development, invest in community policing techniques and engaging our citizens more with our police department. I strongly believe that that's the key to a more livable, prosperous Charleston. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Ms. Smith?
I think the issue of crime depends largely upon where you live. Some parts of Charleston are just fine. Other parts, you wouldn't go there. Throughout this campaign, I've talked a lot about a community that's not very far from here that is basically guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Some of you may know it. And there are a lot of kids in that community without anything to do. And I often wonder what in the world is going on. So I am encouraged by Camp Hope, which is the project that Chief Mullins started. And I'm thinking, why don't we fund Camp Hope, turn it into a 501c3, and have that project impact all the kids in elementary school in Charleston. It's a great way to foster relationships. It's a great way to foster respect for law enforcement. It's a great way to encourage kids to do something more than what they may be seeing at home, which is really not a topic that most of us want to delve into, but it directly relates to who's going to commit crimes and who doesn't. So I would very much like to see Camp Hope become a model. The other piece of it is to reduce the crime. Children have to have something else to do. Mom and dad have to have something else to do. If there's no dad or if there's no mom, if they're struggling to maintain the household, that's also going to have an effect. There are a lot of young brothers walking around Charleston with their palmetto roses. They are trying to start a business, many of them not to harass tourists, but to pay the electric bill at home. They have stepped up to be the man of the family, and we haven't been very kind to those kids. I'd like to reverse that, because if they take the news back that I can have a business in Charleston, other kids will too. And I think that's something that we can do through the Mayor's Office of Youth and Family and Children. I think that's something we have to encourage, so that if these kids grow up with a mindset to have respect for the community and wanting to make a difference, then we're all safer, regardless of where we live. The last thing I want to say is there are certain areas of Charleston people slow down to enjoy, like down on the Battery. Nobody slows down on the east side. They're driving fast because they're concerned and they're afraid for their safety, and that should not be. So that's where my efforts would start. If we make this right for everybody, then we're all safer in the long run.
Thank you. All right, so our final three will be Mr. Gregory, Jenny, and Darren, and Leon Stavronakis. And the final question is quite simple. What will you commit to completing in your first 100 days? And we'll start with Mr. Gregory.
Since I'm already a part of the city of Charleston, as a city council member, there are a number of things that I would complete within the first 100 days. And much of it would have to do with transition. Developing a transition plan will be the most important thing that any new mayor coming into a 40-year institution would have to do. So my first 100 years would be developing a transition plan so that the transition will be sustainable and will not cause any kind of chaos. So you would see me the first 100 days working with all departmental heads, including our police department, including our planning and transportation department, to make sure that as we move forward into the next 40 years, and I'm not saying I want to be mayor for 40 years, folks, that it will be smooth and it will be sustainable. There are a number of projects that are on the books that would have to be completed. We have to continue to complete the flooding and drainage projects such as the Septima Clark project. We have to continue to complete the drainage at Market Street. We have to start on drainage projects on Calhoun Street. I would also like to start planning on how we're going to deal with the flooding at the Medical University of South Carolina and its emergency areas. So for me, the first thing that I would be doing in the first 100 days is developing a transition plan so that we can have the kind of city that will continue to move smoothly as we transition from a 40-year institution. The mayor is just one person, folks. And without a good council, we will not be able to do the kinds of things that we've been doing in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Deering?
Thank you. Well, the first thing that I would like to do is get rid of those parking garages that you can only pay cash. Anybody been there? Have to back up and go to the cash machine? Anybody? Yes. For me, transportation has been and is in the forefront of my platform, and what I would commit to doing in the first 100 days is to take that plan and begin to put forth a timeline, to begin to put forth a specific plan for financing. But I would like to say that one of the folks yesterday, actually Toby yesterday, was describing me as a candidate who's innovative and thinks outside of the box, actually isn't in any kind of a box. And in my view, for financing infrastructure, first of all, we have to think about the cost of not doing it. Secondly, we have one playbook we use, and that playbook is go to the South Carolina government and wait and hope that the right deals can be made to get us our money that we should continue to fight for getting that. But that's one playbook.